Response video to Nick, the Modern Mystic, sort of on the free will subject, but technically more about how the brain works. Yeah, I didn't like your first 4,000 videos on the subject. I mean, you did like 10 videos in 2 days. Yeah, well, anyway, the first 3 or 4 of them I didn't care for too much, especially when you were saying how, you know, there's no continuity in who we are, and we're a new person every millisecond, and all that stuff. And okay, yeah, of course there's continuity. I think, you know, Nick of 4 days ago wasn't too much different than Nick of today. But regardless, I liked the last video because you used the key words for me, which are, you know, there's no mind, there's brain, and there's programming. I like that word, programming. And I was thinking about the whole software idea, and it sort of got me thinking about, you know, in Stickum last night, Sis and Worm, I had a little bit of an argument with her about, you know, whether emotion or intelligence should be our guide in our lives, and which one should have the primary control anyway. And she's sort of an advocate that we have these innate good emotions that we should go with, you know. And I'm obviously of the, you know, opinion that that's conditioning, it's prejudice, it's preference, it's nonsense, it's arbitrary, it's bullshit. It's bad programming. And the good programming is the intelligence part. That's the programming we've scrutinized. Our brain has scrutinized. It's gone through a more deliberative process. It's been analyzed logically, not conditioned arbitrarily. So, you know, it got me thinking too, like, it's like when you're a kid, let's say you have some experience, you know, like the kid named John beats the crap out of you or humiliates you or does something. So for the rest of your life, you're going to have a prejudice against the name John, or the shape of that person, or that color hair, or some other aspect of that person's personality. And it's going to go through your life. That association is going to exist, and it's going to create a bias and a leaning and a disposition, you know, of your judgment, of your opinion, of what your brain comes up with when John, you know, is said inside your brain, when it echoes through the unconscious gray space. It's going to maybe pop up to the surface. It's going to release a train of thought that might have some negative connotations because of that negative association. So that's how the brain works, but it is this programming thing. And so I was sort of thinking about the software thing, and it's like, yeah, software has 2 aspects to it. It has like the interface, and then it has its actual productive function. And it's kind of funny because, yeah, I mean, obviously somebody could look at me and say, I have a really shitty interface. Okay, it's really a nasty, crappy software interface. And then you have this very nice, you know, kind of, you know, pleasant interface. I mean, you use words like Willie, and you know, you say things like bollocks or something, you know, these quaint and charming rhetoric that makes your interface so much more pleasant to deal with. But then there's the other side to the software, is its productivity. And in the video, you even mentioned a guy who said, you know, well, yes, you know, you can provoke somebody to do some positive thinking or some better thinking. You know, it's almost like when people say something works. It's like the definition is always dependent on what the definition of works is. And so you sort of illustrate that when you pointed out that it's a lie. So, but it's a lie that works. So if people think they have control, it might work, but it's bullshit. And so it's just that definition of work. And often what works is the idea of that, yes, well, if you can make the software perceive itself as happy, then it works. Okay, because that's how people measure whether something works in this culture, is based on how happy you are. And it's such a, I was thinking about it, it's such a stupid concept because it's completely up to, I mean, all you have to do is say you're happy, and you're happy, right? I mean, that's almost how the argument goes. I mean, people could say I'm miserable, and I could just say, no, I'm not, I'm happy. Okay, and it's their burden to prove I'm not happy. I could just say I'm happy. You know, I don't say it because to me it would be a lie, but the bottom line is it would still be me who can judge whether I'm happy or not. And so I can declare the definition of what happiness is. And everybody's able to do that. People can live in complete shit and have 3 broken legs, haha, and, you know, all kinds of misery and heartache. I'm happy, you know, and just because they say it, you have to believe it. Okay, you're happy. It's a given. And it's like that whole, it's the idea of satisfaction. What the hell is satisfaction? Is it having low enough needs where you're really easy to satisfy? Or, is it having complex needs and getting enough stuff to satisfy that need? Or is it just a word people use? And the definition really doesn't mean anything, because people are going to say they're happy and going to say they're satisfied, even when they're not, because it sounds good. It sounds like the right thing to be. It's almost like there's a competition out there to be these things too. So people are going to say they're those things, even if they're not those things, just because they want to say, yeah, I'm winning the competition. I'm playing the game of life right because I'm happy. So anyway, it does come down to, though, and the bottom line is I think our software has to be productive. So to be productive, our software has to be able to understand the world, its job, what it's supposed to do. And, it's got to do that by taking all this mush that's floating around in here, these trains of thought, and judging them, logically comparing them and evaluating them and figuring out which trains are the best trains, which trains are nailing the truth, keep those trains on the track, keep them rolling, keep them building more cars, keep them turning into something like a principle or an ideal that becomes something that people can have real and genuine and legitimate confidence in as a definition of a reality. And what their role in this reality, it would be another one of these trains. I mean, defining goals for ourselves is another bunch of trains. Well, yeah, we can let the biology tell us what our goals can be, or we can let the trains of thought do it. Through this association process and through this logical process. I mean, we have to think through our conditioning. We can't get rid of that conditioning. We can't all of a sudden just love things that we hate emotionally, but intellectually we can understand these concepts of love and hate and understand that the emotion isn't the best source of definition, and that we can actually think about things and make judgments and evaluations that just really don't have anything to do with our personal interest. And so we can have an unbiased, objective intelligence, relatively speaking, whatever, if I have to qualify that word because it scares people. But yeah, we can reduce the amount of subjective pollution. But so anyway, yeah, to me, it's about programming. I like that you mentioned that word, because to me it's a key word. I mean, we are programmed machines. And that's the great imbecility of our existence, is that we have all this diversity. I mean, all these people with all these ideas, all these perceptions, because this programming is happening over years. And there's all these little events that add up to our personality, add up to defining who we become. And even though we start from, generally speaking, the same place, these experiences turn us into completely different thinking machines. The trains are entirely different, and for some people they're so consumed by just running, like the software is so busy doing its equations and doing what it's being told to do, that they don't have any time for introspection. And it's like other software programs, other brains have a little time to do that introspection thing, to analyze their own functionality, to say, hey, what part of this software is working and what part of it's not working? Maybe I should fix my interface. Maybe I should be more pleasant. Maybe I'll say, little happy words now and then, like Willie, and things will be better. We can take time to, the software can, by just running, by just letting the trains run and doing the logical thing, it can analyze and doing it, judging itself, not just the world, not just trying to figure out how to get, but just trying to figure out the truth. That's the get here. Instead of the cheese being out here, the cheese is inside their own brain. And the objective is to define realities and truths. And so they focus that instrument, that logical instrument, on themselves and do that introspection thing, and then they can start reworking this software, reconfiguring that conditioning, and try to create mechanisms, blocks against its destructive impact on their judgment, on what trains are running in their brain. And they can modify that. And yeah, I mean, a psychologist can do that, but yeah, if they're going to do it with lies, then it's bullshit. Religion can do that, but if it's doing it with a lie, then it's bullshit. I mean, it's not the right way to get to the answer, and I just don't think it's even going to be like I said, the definition of working is just idiotic. What is a good life? I mean, most people define it by some stupid standard. Yeah, if you wore big stupid shoes and had a big funny face on, you had a good life. And we probably should come to a higher standard than that. We actually have to judge our impact on the world around us, because there's all this consciousness involved, there's all this interaction that we have, there's all this potential we have to do good and bad things to other people's destiny, other things' destiny. We do have an impact, in our small worlds, and some people in the big world, and that's got to be the definition. That's where we got to look to figure out whether we're having a good life or a bad life. It's really not just about how you feel. And so that gets back to the whole atheism versus religion argument. So there, I've tied all these different arguments together in a nice little package. So time should be running out. Yes, it is. So I have a couple of minutes to say, no, a couple of seconds to say. Till next time, more videos to come. Been a little busy, so hopefully I get 3 or 4 done tonight.